This video, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the Madden 26 official gameplay deep dive, the trailer, and some of the commentary around the community that is kind of gearing up for Madden 26. What are some of my expectations? What are some of the things that I think are going to be, true of the game, as well as, kind of my thoughts on it as a whole in terms of is this good or bad for the game. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I've been creating Madden content since 2009. So I think that puts me at this is my 16th year. It's been a long time making Madden videos and absolutely love it. I'm a huge fan of the game. And so I kind of always want to play Madden. That being said, I've seen a lot of different things throughout the years. And also did want to say, if you guys are looking to get your Madden or college football game to the next level, make sure that you check out our school community. That's where you're going to get access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks for Madden and for college football. Cool part about that community is you get everything for $10. So you get college football and Madden 26 materials. So you'll get all that stuff. If you guys want to sign up, that link is going to be in the description. Going to be putting a lot of content out for both of these games, as I am super excited. And in general, I do want to preface everything with saying I'm always excited for Madden. Even when a Madden isn't good, it's always fun to get your hands on the new Madden, the new college football game. And we went so many years without having a college football game that obviously it makes you appreciate it that much more. So all in all, overall, I do want to say that I am excited for Madden 26. That being said, I do think that there are some good things that we saw in this trailer and some things that I don't love that are going to be coming into the game. One of the biggest things here is you see some of the new plays with the auto motions. I do like that. I think the playbooks, from what I heard, I think they're going to double down on it. It was really well received last year. In my opinion, honestly, the playbook guy kind of saved Madden 25. Madden 25 was in a pretty boring state, and they did a massive playbook overhaul that kind of completely changed the game. And you saw a lot of different playbooks. I think there was I want to say I counted 17 out of the 32 playbooks in Madden 25 made a live event. So it really increased the variety. There was a lot more usable plays, which I think is super good for the game, right? Just giving people more options, more ways to build their schemes and play to their play style. One of the big things, as you see right here, this is the stunt. This is something that I want to just show one more time, and I do want to kind of touch on this. This is one of the big things that they did add. You'll see here, watch this stunt here. So you see how you kind of get this little crash to the outside. This guy loops to the inside. Now, I will say in this clip, it appears that they are using this guy, but imagine if this guy came completely free on a four-man rush and you didn't have to use him, you were able to be in coverage. That would make a four-down lineman set with stunts as effective as Dollar was last year, which honestly, I will say, overall, I think is decent for the game. We're going to have to wait and see kind of how that plays out. Here's the custom stem defensive zones. I did want to touch on that real quick. So as you see here, this is something really interesting. So if you look back at this, I did first time I watched this, I did not catch this. So look at this custom zone. So see what he's actually stemming the deep half. So traditionally, a deep zone is just going to go to the deep area of the field and play. In this clip here, he stems this deep zone back. As you see, he continues to go back and back, back. And from what I would probably guess, it's when it gets to the top of the stem is where he's going to turn his hips and run backwards, which you do not want in both Madden and college football. One of the biggest pieces of knowledge that we have about the game is you really do not want to be trailing receivers. If you're trailing receivers, your defenders will not intercept the ball. You want to be staring at the defender and basically receiving them. So you want your defenders to essentially be breaking on the ball. You don't want them to turn their backs to it. So by stemming this deep zone here, it appears in this little clip, he even kind of turned his back a little bit there, but and there you see the SWAT, right? And you see the SWAT, and that's another big piece of feedback. There was 3 consecutive squats, no interception, and I want you to notice what happened in every single case. See how they're trailing? Here, trailing the receiver, and then here, trailing the receiver. So if you are behind the receiver in pass defense, you are not going to be able to intercept the ball. That is one of the biggest issues I have with this game so far. Drop picks has been an issue in Madden for a long time, and even more so, I think it's going to be in Madden 26 based off what we've seen so far. That being said, I did want to also spend some time talking about the movement that they do have in this game. As you see here, it says explosive movement. You see that cut right there? What they basically did, you see that cut right there, and you see here from Saquon, just the movement in general. This is one of the best parts about the game. It is not going to be all the way to what college football is. It's not going to be, exactly like a college football 25 replica, but it's better than what it's been. And honestly, I will say, I think that's a good move on their part because I don't know that college football 25 had the movement perfect, right? I do think it was more in line with what players want, which is why a lot of players really enjoyed college football 25. That being said, though, you don't want to go all the way to the other end of the spectrum. So again, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the movement piece of this. That was the first time we saw a defender catch it on a trail right there. This is also something I did want to talk about. This is football weather. As you can see, this is football weather. This is completely realistic from what I've heard in the past, that you can't see 10 yards down the field. You literally cannot see. As you see here, you don't know which receiver is actually open. You barely can see the goalpost. We've seen a lot of snow games like that in real life. Just kidding. Yeah, not a huge fan of that. I know there's some of that, and I do understand they wanted to put a big emphasis on the weather, but I think they kind of went too far. But a lot of people are really excited for the snow games. To me, just kind of knowing EA and knowing how this goes, this is one of those things that they're putting on the back of the box. They're trying to sell you on realism, but at the end of the day, is it a really big make or break feature? You know what I mean? The fact that we have snow in the game or the fact that we have rain in the game. It's really the overarching theme of they're trying to market realism in this game, okay? One of the other ways that they attempted to accomplish this was through the quarterback throwing animations and the signature throws. You see that a lot here early on in the trailer. And one of the big issues with the throwing animations or the signature animations from last year's game is it made certain quarterbacks pretty much unusable because of their hot routes, or it made you have to really kind of glitch the game to be able to hot route well. And so I don't love that. I'm hoping that this is good. Again, I don't think, again, at the end of the day, they're adding more animations into the game, and what they are, and this is kind of a critical thing, is they're canned animations. This is something that was a big discussion when when you could get all of these like signature receivers would catch the ball in a unique way. So, for example, Odell Beckham had a signature catch type. The one big challenge with that is when you add more canned animations into the game, what it does in a positive is it makes players kind of play more to their style or more unique. But in the negative, there's typically always one or two animations that are better than the rest. And so you end up just seeing people use those two animations as opposed, to just kind of being more of a balanced spread across the receivers. So I'm anticipating that that's going to be similar with quarterbacks. Last year with the hot routes, it was certainly a big deal. Hence why certain quarterbacks really weren't utilized a lot at the highest levels of the game. Another feature that I did want to kind of come back here and just show this clip of that I thought was like kind of really, kind of telling here if you watch these receivers. One of the other things that I'm a little concerned about is this right here. So if you take a look here, essentially, as you see here, Joe Burrow is scrambling and he breaks the sack. So this is one of my least favorite games that I've ever played is Madden 22. And the game itself wasn't necessarily terrible. It was probably one of the better next-gen games. I think Madden 23 is probably the best next-gen game, but that had some issues too. But what really broke Madden 22 was Escape Artist. If you remember Derrick Henry with this Escape Artist, he could glitch every blitz. You literally just scrambled with him, and The blitz was pointless, but you couldn't really contain him either because there were ways to dumb out the contains. This is what concerns me about Madden 20, Madden 26. You see here, this was something that was a big issue in college football, the agile extender ability. Like, he just stiff arms him, breaks it. Here, watch Lamar just completely juke him out. That's concerning. Those two clips right there, in my opinion, are very, very concerning. I know Kyler Murray does that later in this as well. I think I might have already missed it, but that to me is one of the more concerning things, because if scrambling is completely overpowered, I don't think that makes for a great game. I really don't. I think that's a big issue. So I'm kind of concerned about that. Again, the reason why I'm concerned about that is because, again, like, the ability to break the tackles and stuff, it just adds kind of just a significant degree of randomness when it's like, I don't know. I just feel like I guess the best phrase that I could use, and this is one of my big concerns for Madden 26, it doesn't really seem like, it seems like they did a lot of things that actually reduced the skill gap instead of increased the skill gap. And I don't think that's good for the game. It's not just because I have a little bit of a competitive bent where I care more about gameplay and scheme than I really do about realism or graphics. But I think at the end of the day, if you are constantly getting dice rolled, there's not a level of consistency in the game. And I think that's a big challenge. And that's kind of what I've seen throughout this entire trailer, is there's not a lot of consistency. There's actually quite a bit of randomness. Now, that being said, I did want to take a few seconds here. I'm actually go back to the Kyler Murray thing. I think it's more early on in the video. I do want to show that real quick. Hope I didn't already get here. It is right here. So as you see, watch Kyler Murray on this little clip here. You're going to see that he is going to see. Look at that! Completely jukes him out, runs back, throws. See what I'm saying? I don't know, man. I don't know that I love that. But anyway, I do want to show you the actual blog of the gameplay features. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to read through this blog. And again, links to everything in the description. I'm also going to unpack a couple of things that I heard from some of the other content creators in the community, just in their videos and stuff. I'll link those sources down in the description as well. Honestly, one of the cooler things about this time of the year is how many content creators get their hands on the game early, and just some of the things that they're able to kind of highlight to get us excited for the new game. So here's what it says here. Football season's right around the corner. Training camp is on the horizon. Every team starts with a new hope of the season to come. Gameplay in this is the key right here. It's very, very important. Gameplay, this kind of shows you like their overarching theme, if you will. Gameplay in Madden 26 is all about bringing you closer to the NFL while providing ultimate control and performance on the sticks. So there's these kind of two things that they're holding in tension, in my opinion. You have the sim community, where they want kind of more of a simulate, which Madden at its core is a simulation experience. But even more so to that extreme, it's almost like they want campaign mode for football, for a football game, where they're not actually really wanting to play the game. I get a lot of guys that sign up for my website, or I've talked to over the years, that they're still using a defensive lineman, or they're, kind of doing coach suggestions. They're not really like thinking the game. They're not really playing the game with some of the level of capacity that they could have. And I think it's because at their core, they're a football fan, and they're wanting to play Madden like they're watching an NFL game on Sunday, as opposed to playing in an NFL game. And I think this is kind of the tension that we see Madden as a whole has had over the years. Is you have the sim community, which is really more like, you get these, this is why you get those crazy rules in franchise mode. Like, I literally have had people tell me that in their franchise mode, they have a play cooldown where they run one play, but then they have to wait like 15 plays to call it again. And that's not really realistic, because the Philadelphia Eagles played quarter, half on both sides of the field, or cover four, pretty much 85% of the Super Bowl. So you see a lot of repetitiveness in the real NFL. They may do it from different formations. They may have different ways to get there, but they're at its core running kind of a handful of concepts more than what people would realize. And so it's kind of like that. Again, it's just the kind of the core tension. But then on the other side, you have the competitive community, which I kind of gravitate more. I think the best phrase that I could use is I have a lot more respect for the competitive community than than the sim side normally does for the competitive community. And the reason why is because I believe that the competitive players, and I don't know why this feels like I'm in the minority saying this, the competitive players understand the intricate details of gameplay the most, and therefore they can kind of see what's going to get exploited, what's not going to get exploited. And I just think they understand the game at the deepest level. And so because they have that kind of understanding for the game, there's that tension between a competitive player that wants ultimate control and a sim player that wants ultimate realism. It's like, what's your target? For the sim player, the target is a simulation football experience that is as close to Sunday morning as possible. But again, you watch football on Sundays. You watch football on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, right? You don't play football on Sundays as a fan. Whereas the competitive players, it's literally in the phrase competitive, they want to play, they want the ultimate control. And so their target is to get the game to the most amount of consistency and control as possible, so that it comes down to, between who wins and loses, it really comes down to execution. They don't want randomness in the game, okay? And that is one of the big concerns I have for this, because in an effort to bring more realism to the sim community, they're trying to walk the tightrope. Madden EA is, they're trying to walk the tightrope of, while bringing realism to the game, not bringing randomness to the competitive community, because that's going to frustrate the competitive players. And I think in general, you kind of lean towards one side or the other. And it seems to me that in Madden 26, they're going to lean more to the side of the sim community. And that's kind of been very concerning for me, because when you lean more towards the sim community, I'm not saying you should always lean. I'm not saying that the sim community doesn't have a point, but when you lean more towards that side, I think what it opens you up to is way more random number generators, RNG, like kind of the highest skilled players don't rise to the top. And if we know anything about the real NFL, the best teams are the best teams consistently, provided injuries, which is I guess the randomness in the real NFL. So anyways, here's what it says. Our team is continuing to focus on the fundamentals of the sport for more depth and gameplay balance. No matter how you like to play, there's something for everybody. When you try to reach everybody, you tend to reach nobody. And so I think that's a little bit of a mistake on their part, trying to target everybody. I do understand they're trying to appeal to a wide audience, obviously, because that makes their product sell more. But I think one of the issues with that is, again, if there's no clear step ladder for somebody go from, losing to winning through work, which is how it works in the real world. The way you go from losing to winning in the real NFL is you work harder, you study more film, you practice harder, you get better players. And so I think that those stepping stones should exist in any good Madden game, in my opinion. It's kind of my story as well as to how I even got to be doing YouTube. Is I was terrible at the game and slowly got better over time. So anyways, signature identity, dynamic gameplay experiences that pay off the unique signature styles of the teams. We talked a little bit about that. Community requests built for different types of players. We want you to know that we're listening. I do like that that's actually put up there. I actually do appreciate that. One of the things that I would say, and this is kind of a general 2 cents that I have seen in Madden for a long time, when they say they listen to community requests, you have to understand that they are getting requests from all kinds of people. They're getting requests from people like me. They're getting requests from the sim community. They're getting requests from even more of a hardcore competitive community. They're getting requests from all different types of players. And the question that then becomes kind of an interesting question is what feedback rises to the top. What feedback rises to the top? Because this is one of my big issues with EA for the last several years. Is it seems to me, and I don't know if I can just point. I can't point to all kinds of stuff directly, but it just seems to me like they tend to listen. They tend to listen to the wrong people. For example, one of the biggest pieces of feedback that was positive, I think about Madden 25 or Madden 24. I can't remember what Madden it was, but a recent one was that they put female referees into the game. While that is a cool thing that they put female referees into the game, that doesn't realistically actually have a massive impact on the gameplay experience, as opposed to when you call a screen and you roll out and all of the zones blitz you, right? One thing is literally a game breaking glitch. The other thing is an aesthetic experience. And so to me, I love that they're saying that they're listening to community requests, but my question would then be, what community members are they listening to? I think that's a super important question to ask. Okay, because what I've seen traditionally is they'll listen to the former NFL players, they'll listen to the online franchise guys, they'll listen to the MUT content guys. I haven't seen a ton of listening to the hardcore gameplay guys. And if there's one thing that can really make Madden better, it's improve the gameplay, because if you improve the gameplay, you improve every single aspect of the game. So to me, again, that's kind of what I have to say about that. I would just be curious. There's been a ton over the history that I've been doing YouTube. There's been a ton of creators that are hardcore gameplay guys that basically say they give feedback to EA and they don't feel like EA listens to them. So again, that's why I say, who are they listening to? And I think that's an important thing. Who are they actually taking feedback from? Foundational football, never-ending pursuit of perfection in the fundamentals of the sport, blocking and tackling, passing, catching, driven by our players' desire for authentic, balanced gameplay. Cool. It's kind of more about the QB stuff. I've kind of already shared some of that. One of the things I will give them credit for, the graphics are amazing. In my opinion, they're way better. Again, kind of an aesthetic, but at the end of the day, like that's a quality of life thing. In pocket behaviors, the first component of QB DNA is their behavior inside the pocket. Again, this is because you got to realize these are canned animations. So like, if I have a ball, if my quarterback has a ball hold of this or this or this is going to change how they hold the ball in the pocket. While that at face value is a great change, there's typically one of these that is better than all of these, and everyone will just use the one of these. Okay. Because again, at the end of the day, you're trying to win, right? I don't know anyone that plays Madden that's not trying to win. That's literally why my school community exists, is to help people win. So anyways, added more active in the pocket idle, scrambling on the run. There's a significant amount of improvements. And it just really sets the stage to me that they are making scrambling quarterbacks overpowered. And they've always been good in Madden. But the years where scrambling has been insane were terrible Maddens, in my opinion. But again, run cycle sets, I mean, it's cool. We'll see. I'm really concerned about the scrambling quarterbacks. We've even added some new types of signature passes, off-platform throws. That is kind of a trend in the NFL, so I'm not terribly upset with that. They've said this before, though, and it didn't really happen. So I'm just curious to see how that goes. Madden 26 has all new animations for almost every type of throw. We've kind of talked about that enough. I don't really need to spend more time on this. They do have some cool stuff in here, though. We've obviously focused heavily on traits for the quarterback this year. So these are quarterback traits. One of the ones that's kind of funny, let me see if I can find it, is this one right here. Seeing Ghosts. After a sack, quarterbacks with this trait will tend to force a pass to their first read for the next 3 plays, resetting at the end of the drive. Again, to me, like, we're putting things in the game for people that don't actually play the game. They just watch the game. And I mean that's cool, but it doesn't really affect like the it doesn't really affect the gameplay that people are going to experience. It affects the sim community. Like quarterback AI improvements, like what do I care about that? Like quarterback AI in the way I play the game is me. Coach DNA, kind of again, that's a CFM, that's offline. I said this on X, not Twitter, X. If you want to follow me, my links in the description. I'll be posting tips on there for Madden and College Football 26. But I said this on there. My core belief is that Madden 26, one of the big things is if you just read what they're doing, even though they say we're trying to kind of hold the tension between the sim player and the competitive player, almost every change is for the sim player, the player that doesn't really want to play, that doesn't want to adjust, that really wants to watch and use coach suggestions or let the computer pass the ball than do it themselves. And so again, to me, that just kind of shows their target audience in this specific game seems to be more for the sim player. Okay, that's just kind of what I'm reading. That doesn't mean that they don't have good changes for the competitive community. It just means the core of the game is made more for a sim player than for a competitive player, is kind of how this reads to me. Okay. So again, more on the coaches playbooks. This is cool to me. I'm actually really excited for this. The new coach adjustments. I was actually already 26 minutes in. I didn't realize I was going to be. See, I love the game. I could talk about Madden forever, but anyways, nearly 1,000 new plays for the launch of Madden 26, which is twice the amount of new plays that we introduced in Madden 25. So that big playbook update that I said saved Madden 25, they basically have more plays to bring in the game now. Excited for that. I do like the one thing I will say about the playbooks, which I don't think that this. I don't know. I heard some rumors about some new defense formations. They added They added those plays only to offense. We want to see them add that to defense as well. Defense needs more tools, which does come in a minute with the new coach adjustments. But they took one of the biggest tools of defense away, which I think is super ridiculous. So anyway, motions and shifts on the offensive side of the ball. This is something that's very realistic. One of the ways that you counter a motion and shift based offense is through having a little bit more of a symmetrical defensive set, like a dollar that you could baseline. But guess what? They took baseline out of the game. And so this is going to be exploited in the competitive community. I guarantee you. Here's why. When you flip bunch, when you audible from bunch to trips or bunch to tight or bunch to bunch strong, typically what has happened historically in Madden, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be the same in Madden 26, is you will be able to hot route unlimited amount of times. So one of the reasons why people flip their bunch is not only does it mess up the defensive alignment, which when you take baseline out, it creates an even worse situation for you defensively. The other thing that happens whenever you do that is you're now able to make unlimited hot routes. You get your play set up before the defense is set, and you can snap the ball. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that is realistic, because if you watch any of the real NFL coordinator talk, one of the biggest trends in the NFL right now is defenses are going to structures that can adapt to motion by changing the responsibility of the defender as opposed to moving the defender with the motion. And so I think they're literally in the real NFL right now going to more of a baseline symmetrical defensive type of philosophy that can handle different motions and shifts, as opposed to having a nickel set where they shift the guy all the way across and the nickel has to follow and then he's out of position. And so again, to me, I think this is one of the worst changes that they're going to have this year. You're going to see in the competitive community audible around, tours, flipping bunch, every single play. I would be shocked if you did not see an audible on every single competitive game this year. They will exploit the crap out of the alignment bugs that are going to come from baseline not being in the game. Super frustrated that this was one of the changes that they made. That being said, one of the things I'm most excited about is the new coaching adjustments, because with the new coaching adjustments on the defensive side of the ball, you can actually literally put your safeties wherever you want to put them. I'm super excited for that. Get my safeties down in a nice 8 to 10 yard depth pre-snap, see how that works. Hopefully that'll be kind of the sweet spot. We'll tinker with that and find it. I do love the fact that you can get the safeties in the box, and really it is going to be a too high. It's going to be a too high defense where the safeties are going to be about 8 to 12 yards off the ball, depending, and you're going to have to adjust. I think nickel, I could see nickel being good. The big issue to me is because of the lack of baseline. Baseline was one of the best ways to counter stretch. Baseline was one of the best ways to counter the audible and flipping around. And because we're not going to be able to baseline anymore, it's going to really hurt a lot of the best defenses that we've seen over the last several years. Some would say, well, that's a great thing because we want to change the meta. Well, I would say that you have to actually look deeper as to why the meta is what the meta is. And in Madden 26 or Madden 25, the meta was what the meta was because when you go from bunch to trips or from normal live close to trips, you don't have to flip anything and you can just adjust. And we know that quick snapping is a thing in the competitive community. And we also know that the biggest disadvantage is the defense face is getting their adjustments in before the ball is snapped, because you have to adjust so many things to stop a good offensive player. And with them taking baseline out, now one of my adjustments is going to have to be flipping my nickel set every time. So I'm really not excited about that, but I am really excited about the safety adjustments. There's also, I think, a new adjustment that's going to help with RPOs as well. So RPOs should not be as big of a challenge. We say that now, we'll see. But here it is, coach adjustments, revolutionize your level of control, customization of alignments and assignments. We've added a new coach adjustment that allows you to adjust the alignment of your safeties. Here we go. So we have, so I think it's going to be this one right here. I think it's going to be close. Your safeties can play deep, 25 yards off the line of ball, prevent, tight, which is super close. I think most people are going to settle right here at the 8-yard depth. In addition to the default alignment from the called play, you can also adjust the safety's width to spread, wide, and pinch. You can adjust the midpoint with the options being left, right, strong, passing, weak, away. So this is what that tells me a little bit about the meta, okay? It's going to be a zone game. Even though man, from what I heard, especially in college football, is really good, press man, you can't pick it if you're trail coverage. It's gonna be more of a zone game, and it's really gonna be all about the hash marks. This game is gonna be really, really played on the hash marks, and so there's gonna be. I do like that. I like that right there. I love the customization. It's all about the safeties. So I gotta think about how that's all gonna work. But in general, the safeties are gonna be the key to defense this year, which I will say that's exactly how it is in the real NFL. So kudos to them for that. The thing that I'm concerned about is the flipping. The audible round is going to be brutal. I already know that. And I'm really concerned about that. Okay. Is your opponent trying to RPO you in the ground not so fast? New adjustments will allow you to dictate how they play, read, and peak RPOs. That's a good change. RPOs have kind of been messed up for a while, so I'm glad for that. I don't know why this is that's fine. To add more balance and strategy around fumbles, we've removed the ability for a user to have a conservative ball carrier adjustment. I believe that this was Dubby's feedback to them, so I will say maybe they listened to him on that one. I don't know if he was the only one advocating for that. This adjustment will now only be activated by AI-controlled ball carriers, player lock situations. Curious about that. This adjustment was used as an unfair advantage in Madden 25 to avoid fumbles with carrying without any risk. The thing about conservative was you couldn't do any ball carrier moves, so it was a trade-off. You were trading no ball carrier moves for no fumbles. In Madden 26, to try to avoid fumbling in late game situations, rely on the cover the ball mechanic. I'll have to try that out and see how that goes. It's only for sim game style though. On competitive, as long as cover ball is active before tackle starts, you'll. Oh, okay. That's actually cool. Okay, I'm honestly fine with that then. On competitive mode, as long as cover ball is active before a tackle starts, you'll be totally immune to fumbles. So they took conservative out, but they didn't really. So that's cool. This is the weather stuff. I'm not gonna get too far into this. I think they went a little overboard with the weather stuff, but I know a lot of people are excited for it. It's not gonna be something that I think we're gonna see in competitive play. It's gonna be more of like a fun thing, and which is cool. That's fine. Player movement, compasses. Instead of having two very different sets of locomotion across Madden and College, we will have alignment between both games on a central tuning set that captures the best of them both. It sounds like maybe they're going to be the same then, based on what that says. So that's cool. Depth chart positions, that's fine. You got right edge and left edge. Whoop de doo. That doesn't really make a big difference to me. Mike and the Will backers. Um, and the Sam, that's fine. It's not a big deal to me. This is kind of interesting. So, like with Travis Hunter, you can put him in corner and wide receiver, but you can't really do that because of the wear and tear. Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that plays out. I don't, not really authorized. One of the things I'm most excited for is this right here. So, new four strong trips and bunch logic. So one of the big counters to match coverage has been just to run what we call four strong, and it essentially would cancel match coverage. The match coverage would play like cover four drop. It says right here, new four strong trips and bunch logic for route concepts that send a back out of the backfield to a trip side. We've added a push check to our quarters and palms coverages. This dynamic adjustment pushes or bumps the coverage over to the trip side and forces a man match on the receivers as they get into their routes. Rather than relying on spot drops to cover four receiving threats, this check makes defenders more intelligent about which receivers to leverage and less likely to blow the coverage when number four becomes number one. Updated China call. We've revamped the China call concept in our quarters, palms and three match coverages versus combos where the number one receiver would run like a drag or a smoke and the number two would run a fade. Awesome, because you could bomb cover three match simply with a slot fade and a hitch. So that coverage didn't work very well for them. So hopefully this is better. I love match coverage. I study the crap out of match coverage in real life. Huge Cody Alexander fan whose website is literally called Match Quarters, but that coverage hasn't been that great in Madden. Hasn't really been able to be used at a high level. So I'm hoping that that is fixed. I do like this right here. I think cover two is going to be the meta, honestly, defensively, from what I'm reading here, just because of the way a cover two plays. We've improved the AI of our deep half defenders so that they reach their landmark quicker and with more urgency as they gain more depth. Players should feel more confident using cover two coverages, which aligns closely with the current NFL trend of non-traditional Tampa 2. That's cool. And that is a big trend in the NFL right now. One of the things that is really cool is last year they really improved the mid-read. The mid-read was probably the best it had ever been in terms of responsiveness within that coverage. And so hopefully, I do believe that the meta will be cover two this, from what I can see so far, or cover four with a switch. But I think cover two, some of the stuff Skimbo was doing later in the year, that's what you're going to see more, using those vert hook defenders as kind of those switch stick players. Man coverage, not a lot matter, not a lot here. It's just you basically can overplay man coverage a little bit more, but it's a little bit more risk and reward. So yeah, I'm not man coverage is going to be man coverage. I'm not too worried about that. The zone stems, to me, this is really interesting that you would stem a deep half. Direct defensive counter of custom zones are in play. Custom zones allow you to tell your zone defense exactly where you want them to cover. This, to me, though, breaks down because you have to do it at the pre-play screen, and we know that people are going to quick snap because they can flip their bunch and do unlimited hot routes, and they're going to be able to quick snap. So I like the idea of custom zones. I don't know that it's going to work. I don't know that it's going to implement well. Route commit. That's what I was talking about, a little bit of a overpowered deal. The only other thing I wanted to touch on here, wear and tear, they did say this. Is this only in franchise mode? They originally said this was going to be an ultimate team. but it looks like it's going to only be in. It doesn't say that specifically here. Another addition coming to Madden 26 to wear and tear that tracks any contact and inside a franchise and superstar over the course of a season. See, that's what people are misreading. It's going to be Ultimate Team too. I'm almost positive wear and tear is going to be an Ultimate Team. I'm pretty sure because they said it was going to be an Ultimate Team the last blog they did. Block steering. Steering is a new mechanic on the defensive side of the ball that keeps you in control. Oh, that's for like a D-line user. We're improving how blocking works. There's a lot of stuff in here. There is a lot of stuff in here. Only people who care about pass protection are Madden players. There's some new pass pro stuff that is pretty cool. This one right here. To make it easier to interact with new preset protections. First is a new pre-play mechanic called untarget defender. So it's like ID the mic, but essentially when you do that, when you untarget a defender, for example, the user, you're telling your offensive line to ignore that player, saying he's not going to be blitzing. That is the idea with that. So bust out against somebody who likes to hover the linebacker over a guard or center and then drop into coverage. So blitzing is going to be a little bit different. I think the stunts are going to be crazy. Drop back protection. New tools. We've made a visual upgrade to the drop back passing with all new pass block locomotion. Not a whole lot there, really, that I see. There's always going to be a blitz, and we're going to find it. I promise you that. Defensive AI improvements, run fits. This is the big one that I wanted to hit on. So, superstar abilities, aka passive abilities. So, these are abilities like deep zone KO, route tech, these short and elite, right? That impact outcomes will no longer have any built-in guarantees to them. So the way that deep zone KO works is if I throw at deep zone KO and deep zone guy tackles me, then I drop the ball 99 to 100% of the time. We added a level of consistency, right? Well, now instead of guaranteed or nearly guaranteed outcomes, you will see an increased chance, close to 50%, when the specific conditions of each ability are met. And the fact that I checked on X and the majority of the people were excited about that, it goes to show you, back to one of the points I made earlier in this video, who are they getting their feedback from? Because this is not going to be good for the game. This is not going to be good for the game. And the reason why it's not going to be good for the game is because everything's a dice roll. Everything's a dice roll. And so 4th and 9, you might catch it, you might drop it. Everything's a dice roll. You don't know what's going to happen. And some people are like, well, real life, it's a dice bowl. Well, that's true, but in real life, I could tell a defender to sit on it a little bit more, or he's going to react a little bit better. One of the reasons why those KO abilities are so valuable is because they reacted on and covered routes that zone coverage wouldn't cover, and you couldn't do anything other than switch stick to it. So to me, this is not a great change. For example, like if you hit stick somebody with tank, they'll still fumble. I don't understand that. It adds a level of just randomness. And again, I talked to you about it at the beginning. Their primary, and here you see there's the KO abilities. Outside shade, inside shade, one step ahead. Like, there's no consistency to anything. And for example, tackle supreme. So if I have tackle supreme equipped on my linebacker in today's Madden, we would be able to tackle the ball carrier if we got our hands on him. That imitated or mimicked what it would be like if you're playing like a Ray Lewis. He's not going to miss a lot of tackles. Well, now that ability only works 50% of the time. So if it's 4th and 2 and my tackle supreme tackles your running back, there's a 50-50 chance of that running back's going to break the tackle or he's going to get tackled. I think that's going to make the game significantly worse because you never know what's going to happen. So for another example, secure protector. So if we have edge threat, so like what it kind of does in a way is the reason I think people are quote unquote excited about it is because what it essentially means is they're making abilities less of a big deal. Okay. The problem with that, the problem with that is because it's random, you have to have all the abilities because on the random chance that it activates, it's just RNG. I think the best way to explain it is that it is RNG. And the big issue with that to me is you never know. Like I have a secure protector, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be able to block the edge threat. One play, the secure protector will work. The next play, the edge threat will work. How is that any different to not having any abilities at all? Um, I don't love that. I don't love that at all. Fearless. Fearless is on that list. Um, yeah, I heard the throw out of sack stuff and the yeah, it's not excited about that. Not excited about that at all. I'm really excited that honorary lineman is not going to work every play. Yeah, I don't know. A few more updates. This was one thing I did want to mention. These two are actually pretty cool. The full route tree is available by default in passing hot routes. So what that basically means, they took what was really nice about college football. Every quarterback has hot route master. This is an amazing change because it will help more regs. Every quarterback is on the same level playing field with the hot routes. They're not going to be on the same playing field with the animations, the hot route, or the actual ability to make hot routes, and the gunslinger or set feet lead ability, if that is in the game, which I would assume it is. So, but the fact that every quarterback has every route tree is now what it does for the game. It makes a lot more offenses viable because you can create a little bit more. So I'm excited for that. This one right here, we now have the ability to tune gameplay without the need for a client update. This will allow us to be more agile and respond to gameplay feedback faster. Gameplay tuning primarily deals with any type of success chance. Oh, okay, here we go. Any type of success chance, reaction time, timing windows that can be safely modified during the season. So they're talking about tuning so they can tune fumbles to happen more or less. They can tune zones to react faster or slower. They can tune pass velocity to be slower or faster. So that's cool. It just goes to show that I do think they're trying to make a good game. I think the community is divided about what a good game is. And I think ultimately Madden 26 is going to be a fun year and there's going to be a lot of cool stuff. There's going to be things about the game we don't like, and there's going to be things about the game we love. It's what makes Madden Madden. And I want to thank you for watching this video because if you stuck with me through all this, chances are you love Madden as much as I do. And if you want to take your Madden game to the next level this year, check out our school community. It's only $10. It gets you access to everything that I know about Madden and college football. You can check that out in the description, and links to the creators that I watched for preparation for this video will be down below.